Good morning. Russia has invaded Ukraine. Explosions were heard across the city from early this morning.
Across the country, Ukrainians woke to explosions lighting up the dawn sky.
He was called by President Biden and offered a ticket to leave Kiev.
To see the president of that country stand up and say, I don't need transportation, I need arms. That is a quote that will be in history as a brave leader who is staying with his people. Brave leader who is staying with his people.
Right then, we've met our contact. I'm not going to release any names, nothing like that, and not going to release where we're going. Literally, we're going to Ukraine, so at the minute we're still in Slovakia, and we're travelling to our destination now, our border. So we met up with him, shook hands and stuff like that, exchanged a bit of gossip, but we're going to get in there, and like I said, I'll not be releasing any locations like that, nothing like that. So we're going to be turning our phones off for a while until we establish where we are. It's safe to do so. Okay, so we're only 19 minutes away now from the border, and we should be in. Oh, biker there, Harley. All right. So now at the border crossing. I don't want to take any more pictures because I don't like it, but we're here at the border crossing. We're now in Ukrainian soil, and we're getting our documents checked before we get over there. Okay. When we arrived at the Slovakian border, there weren't many refugees around at all. There was literally just pockets of them, and they didn't look like refugees. They looked quite clean and well looked after. That's simply because of the Red Cross that were there. There were no vehicles going in and out, no queues, nothing. We kind of got straight in and got our vehicle checked. We had everything checked. There was 4 passport controls, and you had to basically go to each one, wait in a queue, issue your paperwork, declare anything you shouldn't have, and they would hand you the paperwork back. You would take it to another kiosk desk where someone would slide a frosted window open, and they would take that paper off you, slide the window shut, do the keyboard stuff, hand it back. You would take that outside to one of the guards, and one of the guards would then check your van, open your van and check your van for you. What they saw in our van, they were pretty pleased. And you will then go into the customs office, give this to the operative at the desk, the customs officer. They will then type up some more details, give you another piece of paper, I think, and then you would go on your way. You would head out, get in a van, drive to the next station, which was a few yards away. Then you'll go through that process again, and each time it makes you feel like they're going to find something on your van which is going to upset them, and you're going to get arrested or something like that. But it never happened. They weren't intimidating like that. They've actually got a hidden sense of humour, so nothing to worry about there.
It's been difficult because telephone networks in the city were targeted by the Russians at the beginning of the offensive. This is the automated answer you now get when trying to ring a telephone number there.
Нападением фашистской России на Украину и ведением войны данный звонок заблокирован. Российский звонок пошел.
The customs office was quite a sight in there, and quite an environment, I would say. You felt like you're stepping back into the 1960s. There's the guards there with the Kalashnikov rifles, AKs, and there's the writing on the walls. It looks like towards Russian, but it's Ukrainian. It's quite similar, and the colours that everything from the eastern side of Europe is painted in. It's kind of like these pale greens or pale blues. It looks kind of clinical, but the colour doesn't really represent nothing. It doesn't cheer the building up, or it doesn't dull it either. It kind of doesn't mean much. And I think that's what impression they try to give over you when you're in those offices. It makes it feel like you're in some kind of spy movie. That's how it makes it feel, and you're trying to escape some Eastern Front, something like that. The buildings, like I said, they feel like you've been watched at all times, and the frosted glass which surrounds this dome-shaped customs office, and there's got an old brown cracked tiled floor. It looks like things have been there for a long time. You can tell there's the Soviet era was there. You know, you can really tell it. And then there's windows. I think there were some windows above the offices, and they had frosted glass on them with wooden fretted panes, and you felt like someone was behind them, stood down on you, watching you. But it's only in your imagination from what you see in the film. But the people, like I said, they've got a sense of humour when you can drag it out of them. They do like to have a laugh and a giggle.
Try this. A country with a chicken on its flag shouldn't invade one with a fork on its flag. You get the style.
Okay, so we're over the border. It's dark now. It's taken 2 hours to get all the paperwork done. It's pretty frightening, actually, but everything's all in order. It's like stepping back into the 1960s. Not that I was born in the 1960s. Everything looks like something out of a Bond film when you're going through, but the guards, everything, are quite relaxed with they know what we're here for. So it's pitch black now. The roads are all potholes, so we've got to watch what we're doing. We're going to get to our destination, and we're going to unload some things and probably get our heads down for a night, something like that. Well, again, we're not going to release where we are. We don't want to be videoing where we are, but we're travelling. We're actually in Ukraine, and we're actually travelling on the Ukrainian road, so it's pretty. This is it. This is the place. So we're here.
Here we go.
Delivering things to the doorstep. That's what we're doing. Making sure it gets in the right hands. Okay. They can't speak a word of English here. Just thumbs up. Okay. Yes. That. It was really dark travelling through Ukraine, and you get this feeling of what are we doing? What are we doing here? Only a few weeks ago, we were watching all this on the news, and now we're here just like that. You know, it was a split decision, which I made while I was walking the dog, and I'd just seen enough on the TV, and my head was burning, my heart was burning, and I thought I've got to get some stuff out to there, you know, at least something, and I think that was the case with many people, really. But lots of people, especially with doing it, just couldn't do it. They couldn't get out there with the work commitments, family and life and stuff like that. But I had some free time, and we were driving through Ukraine, and it kind of sunk in a little bit then. We were laughing, joking all the way, but we're quite silent and serious. The conversations were serious. It was dark, and you can see all the roads and the tree lines and the signs. It just looks like what you've seen on the news, you know, lots of concrete roads that go down long hills, and there's trees and fields beside them. It just looked like exactly like what you see on the news, and you kind of can't believe that you're there, really. Even though it was practically an untouched place where we were. You just didn't know what could happen any time. It was so unpredictable on the news at that period. You know, that's when the air attacks started all over, random air attacks, so anything could happen. We got to the hospital, I called it hospital. It was dark, it was late at night, we were all fatigued, and we got out of our vans and all joined a little circle, had a little bit of a chit chat and a lot of look around. And I looked over my shoulder and everything was in darkness, complete darkness more or less. There was barely anyone on the streets at all, despite there was no curfew there. Becky, I think she pointed out, she asked what was that building over there, and I think the team there said it was a pub. So, us being from Barnsley, I said, are we off for a pint? That's the first thing we wanted to do. We did go for a pint over there, actually. It was quite nice, and it was different inside. It was different to what I expected. I think it was an Irish bar, I believe it was. So there's a lot of British pubs and Irish pubs. Well, they're all over the world, but there is a lot of them in Ukraine. But we went over there and we had a pint before we did anything else. When we went inside the hospital, before I went to the bar, I had my first encounter with a refugee, and I didn't know how they were going to take us at all, and what I was going to feel like when I saw them for real. And our first encounter with a refugee, when those doors opened, you could instantly smell different people. The smell was different. There was a lot of people in there, and they'd been there for a while. You knew it. There was clothes, baby clothes, child clothing, all along the radiator, down this long corridor. As we were walking in, I was shutting the door, and then there was another corridor to my right, and behind those doors there was a girl sat there. She was the first person I saw. A girl sat there, and she was sat just holding her stomach and staring at the floor. And she looked up at me, and we made eye contact, and I smiled at her, and she just turned away. She didn't smile, she turned away, and she looked back down at the floor again. That was my first encounter with a refugee. I can remember her, I can remember her face slightly, and she looked incredibly sad. She looked terribly sad, like something obviously has not gone well. She must have seen something, obviously from the darker regions of the invasion. I don't know whether she lost her family or her husband, boyfriend, if you're just on her own, anything like that. But it's quite sad seeing her the way she was, and she had this dead stare, this which I call a dead look to her face. She was pale. There wasn't no blood flow going round, and an emptiness to her look. And we just we don't know what happened to her. I came back up that corridor. This was about 7 p.m. and I came back up that corridor around about 1 o'clock in the morning, just before we were locking up, and the lights were out. And I went to check the door was locked, the main door. And I looked round, and she was still sat there. And she didn't look at me this time. She was still sat there, staring at the floor, holding her stomach. And I didn't say anything to her. It was quite sad seeing her that way, really, seeing that someone's broken like that already. In the morning, when Becky got up, she walked up that corridor. It must have been around about 9 or 10 o'clock-ish, something like that. She went up that corridor to head to the canteen to get some food. And when she came back, she said that girl still sat there. But she was sat there for a long time.
Блядь, их тут реально дохуя. Вот еще летят. Это пиздец. Это просто пиздец.
Тебе спасибо большое. Дай тебя обниму. Now you can go. Спасибо большое. Это наша работа.
So it's time for bed. It was time for us to make our own bed, and to be honest with you, we weren't bothered about any comforts. We were prepared to do the full experience, so we didn't just go there for our experience, but we thought we're not going to look for comforts. We'll just crash on the floor like everyone else is doing there. And so we did. We found some little camp beds which weren't really comfortable at all, and we stuck those into a locker room. It was basically DOS somewhere, find somewhere to sleep, and we went into this locker room, stuck our beds down there, pulled them together, and got under a sleeping bag. We couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. It must have been early hours of the morning. I was just tossing and turning. You might fall asleep for like a minute, something like that, and kept waking up, and we both were doing the same. I managed to get about, must have dropped off for about 15 minutes, something like that, and Becky tapped me. She tapped me on the arm and whispered to me, the air raid sirens are going off.
Right, you might not be able to see me, it's dark, but this is our first night. We're on camp beds, Becky's here somewhere. We've got to keep lights out, obviously. It's been a quiet night. It's quite an experience so far. There's a lot of kit to sort out, a lot of people. We've not met all the locals yet, the refugees. But there's a lot of kit to sort out, a lot of work to do, and there's not many people here. But it's late, I think it's about, I don't know what time it is, I think it's about
1:30.
1:30. So we're going to get up probably early and then sort all the rest of this stuff out. Sort out as much as we can while we're here and get off tomorrow. It's a bit of a strange experience, which we expected, but it's a achievement getting here and doing this, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But not much to say really, we're just pretty tired and we're going to get some shut-eye. This is our first night here. Probably our last night here, but our first night here, so we're going to get away tomorrow, I think. After we've done all this work anyway. Night night. This is our room for the night. We've just been woke up by the air raid sirens. They've stopped now. We're making a brew.
It wasn't much an air raid. They're just sirens, and we call it an air raid, but it was more or less missiles and rocket attacks. But we didn't face any. I'm not going to lie. We didn't face any when we were there. We were considered in not a safe zone, but we were considered in an untouched region of it at the moment in time. But when there was airstrikes in the country, then they would set the air raid sirens off all over the country. So when the sirens had stopped, we went back to sleep. We tried to get some sleep, and it was silent, and I could hear people whispering through the air conditioning vents. There was 2 air conditioning vents on the wall above the lockers, and I could hear Ukrainian language, hear them talking, and they were whispering to each other. And you could hear some little bits of coughing, stuff like that, just people generally chit-chatting. Again, it was just quite surreal that little things like this would set it home, because it was hard to believe that you were actually there. You know, you transit through Europe so fast, and you sleep, you drive, you sleep, you drive, and you're there. But because there was no immediate fighting going on in the area, you wouldn't really believe you're where you are, and your mind just can't take it in that you're actually there.
The sirens are going off again, I think.
she? I think she's having a dump. In the morning we woke up again around about 7 o'clock and the area sirens were going off again. This time it was daylight. So we got out of bed and I walked towards the window, the main window, and I peered outside and there was no one around at all. Couldn't hear any voices, nothing. I thought to myself, people may be asleep or they may have just gone to shelters, something like that. I don't know where they all went, but we were just staying put practically, safe anywhere. So while the sirens were going off, it was quiet outside and we made another brew, as we do, and we sat and chatted, waited for everyone to get out of bed, because we get up early, me and Becky do, we get up really early, it annoys some people. Okay, so I've got some breakfast. This is the breakfast that they eat here. It's porridge. The tea is really nice. I don't know what tea this is. It comes out of a big urn, but the tea is very, very nice. And this is the porridge. So we've got our own honey on it. I think it's a bit watery, very corny. I'm not a porridge fan.
What's it like?
It's different. Like it's a bit watery and corny and wheaty.
Right.
But I mean, I can't complain, sort of thing. But I'll have a pot noodle. It's not my thing, but I'm sure it's good for you.
And there's a little girl down the corridor. Alan just keeps doing his waving.
Yeah. Yeah. So all the people are outside out there. No.
Hello. Shall I go get a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Whereabouts is it?
Right. I'm a bit fresh now. I've not had a shower, I've had a wipe, should I say, everywhere. But the weather's okay outside. It's quite breezy. Well, it's not breezy, there's a chill to the air. Yeah. But the sun's out in the sky, there's not cloud in the sky. It's quite peaceful outside at the moment, to be honest. There's people walking about doing their own thing. Workmen just cleaning the roads. And it's quite peaceful actually at the moment. Right. Pot noodle?
Yep.
Okay, so it's time to unload the van. We've got a few bodies here to help us along with it. I'm going to do a little bit of filming, then I'm going to muck in.
Can you manage?
Yeah. I'll give you a hand in it. I'm not shaking, I'm just doing a little bit of recording. There we go.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to give these guys a hand, so I'm not stood here filming now. So this guy here, a Ukrainian guy, I didn't catch his name or anything. We saw him now and again, in and out smoking and stuff. As we were emptying the van, he came out and stood there and he was about to light up a cigarette. He took one look at what we were doing, emptying all this aid work, and he snatched that cigarette out of his mouth and threw it on the floor. Put his lighter in his pocket and just grabbed some crutches, boxes, anything he could and become to help us. So he just mucked in straight away and made sure that van was totally empty. Then he wanted to come down to the storeroom to start sorting things out, but we told him it's okay, we don't need any more. Get a massive roll of it.
You alright? I'll get it. I'll pin this here so we can sort that number on it.
Perfect.
Right, so all our van's empty now, so I'm just going to show you all our stuff stacked in here. So this is all our stuff. There's quite a lot there.
Huge amount. It's
I can't believe we've got.
Fantastic.
I can't believe we've got all that in our van.
Your van's going to be more miles to gallon now.
It will do, yeah. So we've got well labelled stuff and lots of good things here. Crutches, pet food, baby formulas, medical stuff, fireman's equipment, stuff like that. We'll open up in a minute.
Hypodermic needles, tin food,
Yeah.
paracord, fantastic. Medicines,
Yeah.
wound pads, food, tape, lovely labelling.
I know, the labelling is
Oh,
fantastic.
fantastic. Yeah.
I know, I can't.
You can literally just put a box on the shelf. It's there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You can put it straight in my beans and chickpeas oil.
But when it comes to like
Yeah.
a situation,
No,
I
it's
don't
thought
even
about.
need to think about.
Thought about stuff, and the labels
right.
are on there, so they've made it.
It's got fireman's helmets in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give them a clean as well because they'll still smell like burning on them. Yeah, but we'll give them a clean. But we've got some good stuff there. So all this stuff's come from Sam. I'll try and get in touch with you. Who's got the rest of the things. So thank you, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, amazing stuff.
Yeah. This is Joe. I'll send the video. So we're just opening all this stuff now. The good stuff, the best stuff.
Yes, very good stuff.
Yeah, and she's got us tape as well, and
these medical dressings for them, but it's all them. Yeah, it's just the same thing, I think.
yeah, and this company in Sheffield as well. John Morris guy put a heavy donation in, and that company has been helping with logistics and packaging. They've got containers full of stuff as well. So
Brilliant, because
yeah,
it's all about this, mate. That's all
one
I get
of the
off.
first vans
Yeah.
that went straight up country and
So,
we sort of got
Yeah.
all the surgical stuff, but no PPE for ourselves. So to
see where they are.
how to protect yourself first,
Yeah,
then no, it's fantastic. It's,
Because you're never going to. You think you've got PTSD now? If
So,
they're in shit.
good stuff.
yeah,
If they're
very
in
good
shit.
stuff.
Oh, and this is full of paracetamol.
Lots of the boxes had little notes from people, from children, from families, little messages of hope for the refugees. It would be great to get these messages photographed and sent back to them somehow, but there's no addresses on there. I hope the people who sent these messages are watching so they can see what's been delivered and make sure it's in safe hands.
And make a bag, because you're getting people coming who are going out and they can't carry a bag of tins. So I've put back home to people, not for every charity.
After that, I went for a wander round the building and I noticed this trophy case that was on display. I took a long good look at all those, and then another room, a big room near the dining hall that had a huge Ukrainian flag in there with pictures from what the children have been drawing.
Do you know what I
So these are all the pictures that the children have drawn in the hospital. The worst thing is that they're actually drawing pictures of war and happiness, thing that they've seen, an aeroplane, stuff like that. More tanks. After I checked out the children's artwork, we were invited to go back into the canteen hall to have lunch with the school's headmaster or director and his translator as a thank you gesture for us coming out. So when we got in there was no refugees in there. The dinner ladies would be clearing up, and they set out this table, put some milks on there, some teas on there, some biscuits, some pastries, and some more of that porridge, which was cold. They put some meat on there as well. They tried to do the best they can with whatever they had. I just felt we've already eaten anyway. We've had tons of pot noodles in the morning, and we'd already eaten by that time anyway with pot noodles, so we're pretty full. We didn't want to offend the people there who brought food out for us, because you know there's refugees in that building, and we felt a little bit ashamed to eat the food, because every time I looked at food in there, I thought this food should be going to them. Really, we shouldn't be sat here. We're not VIPs or nothing. So I did try to eat it. I ate some of the meats, and I drank the tea, because I love the tea out there. I don't know what it was, whether it was packed with sugar or something, but it was really nice. And we did eat some of it. The porridge was cold. Becky couldn't eat that, but they understood us, and we appreciated them putting a little spread on for us, because we had a long journey ahead of us, a long journey out and a long journey back. So it was time for us to start making a move, pack up and leave now. Time was getting on, and we didn't want to get to that border late, as you do not know how long you're going to sit there for and how many refugees are there when you get there. We were hoping it was going to be empty like when we got there in the night. We got our Google Maps, offline maps downloaded, because we still didn't want to switch our phones until we were round about where the border was. We had to navigate our way through the city, the town, down the roads, back to the border. We were on our own, because we had no escort or anything like that. Some places get escorts, but we weren't escorted. We were on our own. The map stopped working, so we went into a few difficulties. We saw the roads for the first time in the daylight there, and I must say that again they were pretty battered and not from any shelling, so that was quite scary. But nevertheless, we got there, and that's when things started to heat up a bit. It really started to heat up enormously by this point. We arrived on this long road. I did not recognise the road we were on from where we drove in. I didn't recognise the road, so I think we took a wrong turn somewhere. And it was a long road which went up a hill towards the border, and there was a queue of cars, probably I'd say about a quarter mile long, something like that. And there were refugees at the side of the road, people getting out of buses, getting off of coaches, people getting out of the cars, getting bags out, and instantly we thought, what the yeah, this kind of hit home that we are now in a refugee crisis. So we got the full package. Up there.
Yes.